Have you ever wondered what sets apart those magnetic personalities, the ones who light up a room and leave a lasting impression? So in this video, we're going to learn the secrets that you can use to enhance your own personality. Whether you're looking to exude confidence, master the art of communication, or cultivate a more emphatic demeanor, you're in the right place. Hey, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is Bennett. I'm here to help share some ideas that have helped move the needle in my life just a little bit, and I hope you find them beneficial. We're going to break this video up into two different sections. The first section is going to be all about yourself and what it is that we need to start to build within the inside. And the second aspect are going to be the skills that you can start to learn to become a more exciting person. Feel free to skip around if you're looking for something specific. The reason why I want to start with what it is we can start to work on in the inside is because usually when somebody asks a question, I want to improve my personality, we have to realize that their personality might be enough. It's just their own perspective of who they think they are, which might be the real issue. The fact that somebody wants to learn to change their personality actually says a lot about the person. And we don't really want to change ourselves, but we just want to be able to amplify ourselves. We want to be able to find the things that we're good at and learn the skills that we can start to use to allow ourselves to amplify it. A great visual for this is instead of just pressing one key on the piano, we want to be able to play all the keys. And the more keys we can play and the more skills we can learn, the better off we're going to be able to present ourselves in a way that we're going to be proud of. One of the problems of needing to change ourselves is that we end up beating ourselves up. And if we keep thinking we need to change ourselves, we're only going to be holding ourselves down for even longer. So if we can start to make that shift, instead of saying, I need to change myself, I need to learn the skills to become more personable, that can be a very different way of approaching this topic. It's why I tell people not to look at other people. We can be inspired by them. We can see somebody get on stage in front of 2,000 people and then be inspired by that and say, hey, I want to do something like that. But we shouldn't be saying, I want to be that person, because you yourself have your own message and you yourself could tap into something that that person can. And what we have to realize is that we just have to figure out what that is for ourselves to allow ourselves to become the person that we want to really become. And the more we can build ourselves up and the more we can get into the nitty-gritty of who it is we are, the more confidence we're going to have. And what's really cool about that is that the more inner confidence we have, the more attractive we're going to be. Confidence is one of those muscles that people are attracted to because confident people have direction. They know what they want. Even if it's something that you might disagree with, the fact that they have direction is something that is extremely attractive. So working on ourselves to be able to do that could be something that could start to shift everything for us. And it's really why it's the first place we need to start. And what I tell people when they ask me how they could become more confident is that we need to start doing the things that we know we could be doing. We all have an ideal schedule of certain things that we might want to be doing. And for some reason, we're not getting ourselves to do it. And if we can start to allow ourselves to take the actions to do those things, that could be the first place that we can start to build ourselves up. Because how many times have you finished scrolling on social media for 2-3 hours and you're like, what the heck did I just do? It was such a waste of time. And if we can start to say to ourselves, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to allow myself to do the things that I want to be doing. We start to build the muscle of saying, hey, I have more control over my life. And if you're saying, hey, you know what, Bennett, I really don't have any interest, it could just be because you're distracting yourself so much. It's a defense mechanism that we use to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. And when we don't have anything to do, it's just because we're not open enough to do those things. If we can start to take those actions, we start to appreciate ourselves more. And if we could start to appreciate ourselves more, we can start to build that inner confidence that's going to shine through to everybody who is going to meet us. I remember certain people growing up that I was so jealous of because I could just tell they were being so authentic. They were being so true to themselves. And because they were so authentic, I was so drawn to be their friend because I knew that they were real. They weren't being fake. And if we can start to become that person for other people, that could start to be the thing that could start to shift for us. It's why confidence is key. And it's the first place that we start to improve our personality. And that being said, if you have found any benefits so far, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Now let's learn the specific skills that we can start to use to amplify our personality. One of the biggest epidemics nowadays is loneliness. And the problem is that people don't know how to communicate. People don't know how to be social in certain settings. And because of that, they only feel comfortable with themselves, or they might be able to be an avatar on some video game. But we have to understand that there are certain skills that we can start to learn to be able to work with those types of people. There are certain skills that we can start to be able to learn to be able to become the type of person who is going to be okay in a social setting. It's why there's certain social skill coaches who are able to train people on those specific skills. So whether it's teaching people how to to actually give a handshake, how to look into somebody's eyes when you're speaking to them, to work on being patient and to be able to listen to somebody else while they're speaking. These are all skills, not cutting somebody off while they're talking. And we can start to make a list of the things that, you know what, I wish I could do X, Y, and Z. I wish I could be able to have a conversation with somebody. I wish I could be able to communicate. I wish I could be able to get on stage and give a speech. These are all social things that we can do that can allow ourselves to really come out of our own shell. And I'm not saying we have to step onto that stage right away, but I am saying that if you have a goal to do X, Y, and Z, we can start to break it down into small steps to allow ourselves to step into that role. Here's a quick tip with communication. One of the biggest fears that so many people have is that when they get into conversation, it's going to get awkward. But we have to realize is that we, as the person engaging in a conversation, we have to be able to give the person who we're speaking to something that they could respond with that we can then respond back to. For example, what's the difference if I would ask you, do you like pizza versus what pizza do you like? The first is only going to give me back a yes or no answer. You're going to say yes or no. And somebody who's good at engaging in conversation could continue the conversation. But the second question of what pizza do you like is not a yes or no question. It's called an open-ended question because you have to give me an answer. Your answer might be, I don't like pizza. Or it could be, I like cheese crust or a Sicilian slice. But regardless of what your answer is, I can ask a follow-up question on that. And the trick to ask an open-ended question is to start the question with the word what. Do you like pizza versus what pizza do you like? And then once they answer the question, I like cheese crust pizza. What about cheese crust pizza do you like? And the more skilled you can get in terms of creating those questions in the middle of a conversation, the better off you can be in terms of engaging in a conversation. It's such a small key, but it could be something that could be so beneficial. So recognizing that there's certain skills that we can actually learn practically to allow ourselves to become a more social person, that could be something that could start to change it all. Another thing that we can start to do to pull out our personality is to get interested in different topics. You see, as we're younger, we're interested in certain topics. And as kids, we're able to have a conversation with anybody because we're just going to talk about the thing that we like to talk about. But as we get older, we get more subconscious about what those topics are and how it is we can have those conversations with people because maybe they're not going to be interested in it. But if we can actually add to our repertoire all the different things that we can speak about, so that we're giving ourselves more of a chance to be able to fit into the circles that we want to fit into. So if you get a new job, trying to figure out what other people are speaking about could be something that you might want to get interested in just so you can be part of the conversations. It's not necessarily a game changer and there are ways around it, but giving ourselves an advantage to that can be something that could be so helpful when it comes to actually putting ourselves out there in front of other people in a social setting. And that's the key, a social setting. So you see, so many people feel so uncomfortable about putting themselves out there that they don't even put themselves out there. They don't even go out. They stay home. They never go out with friends. And because of that, they're constantly hiding themselves. What we have to realize is that we have to slowly push ourselves to become the person that is going to be social, is going to get out there. It doesn't mean we need to stay out all night, and it doesn't mean we have to go out every single night. If you find yourself staying home more than out, it could be a great indicator in terms of why it is you're hiding your personality. Even if it's out to dinner with one or two friends, that could be enough to get you into that circle of that social setting. The next trick is really a defensive trick. And what I mean by that is that you have to learn the skill of listening. You see, people love talking about themselves and what's going on in their own personal lives. And if we can have the ability to listen to them, to say, hey, I hear what you're saying and I care about what you're saying, they're only going to want to speak to you more. How many times have you been in a conversation where you said nothing and at the end of the conversation, the person said, thank you so much, that was a great conversation. And all you had to do was just listen. And certain skills that you can do in order to show people that you're listening is number one, make eye contact. Number two, nod your head while they're speaking. Number three is repeat some of the words that they've been saying to keep the conversation going. So if they started saying that they went to Mexico last winter break, you could just repeat the last words of, you went to Mexico? And they'll say, yeah, we went to Mexico and we did X, Y, and Z. You did X, Y, and Z? And all of a sudden they're starting to continue the conversation because it shows that you're engaged in what it is that they're talking about. Learning to be able to listen to what they have to say is on the surface level of what it is that you can do to get that person to continue the conversation. If you're looking to take it to the next level, show a little bit of empathy. Digest what they're saying and spit it back out of them. Ask them a question. Show that you're interested in what it is that they're saying. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you're in front of 20 people or one person. People are going to be so appreciative of what it is that you have to say or what it is that you have to do. People are going to be so appreciative of what you have to add to the conversation, even if you don't technically add anything new to it. And the last topic that I want you to think about is to be an easy-go-lucky person. You see, we all know those people who might be a little bit too negative, and we don't want those people in our circle. So So if you find yourself being the type of person who is always bashing on certain things or always ripping on different ideas that other people have, there might be a good reason why you don't have so many friends. If you want your personality to really shine through, understand that you have to be an attractive person. And for certain people, that negativity is going to be a game changer and nobody's going to want to be around it. We all know it's funny in high school when the class clown is making some jokes, but as they get older and they don't mature and they don't grow up, they become the joke. What we have to realize is that we have the ability to start to change ourselves. And if we can start to work on ourselves, if we're a negative type of person, we could be more accepted into the different circles that we're looking to get accepted into. Another thing we could do is we could start to be a little bit more fun. Whether it's you're the one coming up with the ideas of certain activities to do, whether you're the person who brings a deck of cards when you go out to eat, understand that if you could be the type of person who is going to keep the engagement going within the social circle, that could be something that could be so valuable to that setting. You don't have to be the clown, but understand that you're able to add some fun by just a little bit of forethought. And the last but not least is to make sure that you're not taking things personally. For so many of us, we might think that people are doing things to us, but on the other hand, people aren't surrounding their personal lives around us. And what we have to realize is that sometimes things might just get messed up, or sometimes we might not get the text. And if that's the case, we can take things personally. And if you're saying, no, Bennett, I know they didn't text me on purpose, then perhaps it's time for some new friends. But if you're the type of person who tends to always feel that negativity, who always tends to get down on themselves, make sure to take a look at this next video where I talk about how to get rid of your own self-doubt.